Hello everyone and thanks for coming back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the Eachine TX16S, which this is a first look. I think most people want to know what are the differences between this and the original, the Radiomaster 16S. Obviously, visually you can look at these things and tell some differences, so I'm going to cover these relatively quickly. I haven't used the radio yet. It's very, very likely Radiomaster made this for Eachine. That's something that we see in this hobby a fair bit, although I can't be certain of that. I don't work for either company. I'm not aware of any sort of agreement they might have. So the things that I thought to highlight right away is obviously we have button differences. They have these square buttons on the 16S on both sides, and on this side they're kind of round, and I find that my thumbs especially find those buttons easier to use and to manipulate than I do with the square ones. These are kind of flush, whereas these are a little bit raised up. Also, the differences in these buttons are about the same. They're more substantial than we have on the 16S over here, and they're a little bit more raised up. So manipulating OpenTX and your interface here is going to be a little bit easier, in my opinion, over here. They do both have the touch panel. Of course, we can't test that yet because OpenTX still does not support touch panels. A couple of other differences you can probably note right away is over on the Radiomaster, we have these buttons across the top. They've relocated those down here, and I think this is a better position for them. I don't know when you would use these, but it would seem to me that if you're flying and you needed to reach one for some reason, it would be a lot easier to reach down here than it would be to reach up here as you do with the Radiomaster version. They both have the same ports as well. Note that mine did not. This seems to be pinched. See if I can get this in shot. I don't have a lot of room here for camera. This seems to be pinched. I can't get that down. But we have the same ports across the top and across the bottom that we do on the Radiomaster version as well. Even the switch layout is the same. Like the momentary switch is right here. Oh, wrong switch. And then this one right here. One other change I wish they would have made is made the antenna removable. They're both not removable, and that's for people who pack to fly. I think that has a little bit of a risk that you can break this off. Of course, there's a wire inside that goes down to connect to the radio itself. So, you could use hot glue or something, I guess, if you broke that apart. Back to the differences, probably the biggest difference, which I should have covered first, would be the gimbals. These have adjustments that you can make right from the front interface. Let me turn this light off so you can get a better view. So if I bring this up here close and you see I'm wearing my Race Day Quad shirt, we have these screw holes on both gimbals on both sides, and those are used to adjust your spring tension. You might see mine's a little wobbly. I like my springs to be real loose. This one's really loose. The ratcheting is still enabled on this one. We still are going to have to open the back of it in order to take that ratchet and loosen it up. But for some who might fly planes or other things, that ratcheting may be needed. But it's really cool that we're now seeing gimbals that you can make these adjustments from the front of the gimbal rather than having to open the back of the gimbal and actually get to the gimbal hardware. I think that's a really cool move, and I hope we see that moving forward with at least the premium gimbals on all radios. I think that's a really good move. Also, these pots up at the top, I think they're called pots. I don't use these things. I only fly mini quads. These are much more substantial on the Eachine brand. They're more stiff. I'm hesitant to use that word only because I think stiff sounds bad. In this case, they're smooth, but it takes more force to rotate them, and that could be a good thing if we compare them to these. They move much easier, and the center position isn't as, let's say, notchy feeling as it is on these. So that might be something else some of you are looking forward to as well. It does come with a SD card. Of course, when you get SD cards with radios, they're not oftentimes the highest quality. And our ports down here, our SD card is right in there. And then we have the other ports that we typically see on these radios. Another USB port, USB-C. You do get a USB-C cable with it. And the first 300 customers, which by the time they send out review samples will probably end up being like 290 customers get a free R81 receiver. I've used this receiver before. It's from RadioMaster. I don't expect to have the longest range on this, but it is very small and very light, and it works normally for me. It's an 8-channel receiver. It also comes with additional springs, so you can change those out if you were to need to, and it comes with a screen protector as well. One thing of note is that inside my spring bag was the little hex screw that goes inside your stick in order to adjust your position. You might notice on mine over here, the sticks are a little bit higher. I like to use high rates on my quads, and then I use long sticks. I extend them out, not all the way, but a fair bit. But these sticks are all the way down. And back to the hex screw that goes inside to adjust your position. They were inside this one already. Very little detail, but you get what you need to make your stick height adjustment in both cases. Let's turn it back on so you can hear the speaker.
Welcome to OpenTX.
It does come with this battery tray for 18650 cells, and it's got the warning across the front telling you not to put them in backwards. I predict that there's no reverse polarity protection in the radio, and hence the big warning. But I could be wrong in that. I'm certainly not going to test it. The last point about this is price. If we're comparing Banggood to Banggood pricing, the Eachine version comes in at $177.99. That is until the end of the month, which is only about 10 days away. The RadioMaster version comes in at $185.99. So there's about an $8 difference between the two. And then, of course, another $7 or $8 for the free radio that you get, or free receiver that you get if you're one of the first 300 customers to order. I wanted to take a quick look at this. I have not used this yet. If you have any specific questions about this radio, please let me know in the comments section. I will do my very best to answer them as well as I can. And if we have enough questions that need sort of a video response to them, I'll compile those together, and then we'll have another video. If you have any other comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the question section down below, known as the comment section. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.